first inception or idea of a space station had first been created by Werner von Braun when he attended the Hayden Planetarium's second symposium in October 1952. Von Braun advertised the idea of a station in space with promising results that would springboard the man's further venture into outer space, while creating the most fantastic laboratory ever devised. With his 12-foot-high kiloweight model of a street-stage rocket, von Braun's vision titled the paper, describing his model as the early steps in the realization of a space station. There are still other claims over the subject of what led to the creation of the ISS, one of them being the station's foundation out of the two cancelled space programs, Freedom from America and Mir from Russia. These programs would eventually merge with other international committees from Japan and Europe to design and structure the station. Another claim being that the Zarya, Dawn in English, ignited the interest to explore space. The Zarya was a missile that gave the US new perspective on the world and was launched on November 20th, 1998. It was built by the Russians, but the Americans provided the capital to finance the venture into the depths of space. Others claim that the idea of constructing the ISS was proposed around the 1800s, but capital investments was a major issue at the time, and renders the statement false. Whatever the theories and speculations history may have on the development of the ISS, we must recognize that all these causes shaped and impacted the reason and time it was built. There were many presidents and leaders who defended or advanced the production of the ISS, one being President Reagan, who officially announced his support for the station in the Union Address on January 25, 1984. He called for international cooperation and invited other nations to become involved in the projects of enormous proportions so that their expenses could be distributed and not concentrated on the US alone. President Ronald Reagan also declared that the US develop a permanent space station with support from NASA and various other countries. This is the countries included 9 of European space agencies, 13 member countries, as well as Japan and Canada. The reason Russia collaborated with the US was because of President Clinton and his administration, who publicly announced on behalf of the US and Russia their alliance toward achieving a common goal in September 1993. With such strong impression, the Cold War would drift away into the depths of space and make a way for a new era of cooperation, peace, and unity. Through the brilliant bipartisanship of President Clinton and his cabinet, the financial and technical difficulties of constructing the ISS would be solved by Clinton convincing various members of the Senate and House of Representatives. Unfortunately, there are many obstacles blocking the path for the completion of the ISS. The station's opponents began making claims that those involved in the project were hiding the inflating costs of the station, which would outweigh any future benefits. If the claims are true, the space agency would be caught in an apparently hopeless conundrum, as said by William E. Burroughs. The agency responded with simplification of the station when threats of a shrinking budget were made by Capitol Hill, and even threatened by Robert Rowe, the chairman of the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee, when he complained that he had the guts to ask Congress to shut the program down for good, and he almost succeeded in June of 1991 when Congress voted 240 to 173 to appropriate $9.9 billion for the next fiscal year. Luckily, President George Bush declared veto on any vote that tried to kill the station. Perhaps the most difficult obstacle to overcome was the tragic loss of lives in the Space Shuttle Columbia's explosion on February 1, 2003, whose effects led to a wide censure by the media on the future of the space station. Some of the goals of the space station include a desire to improve life on Earth. Labs in the ISS are unique for their spatial environment, which would expand man's knowledge of physical science, manufacturing, and medical technology. Another goal of the ISS was to act as a stepping stone into mankind's journey to other planets, namely the planet Mars, and if such a legacy was funded by the ISS, then no one could even question its existence above the Earth. Knowledge of space exploration will allow us to safely and effectively expand our perspective of life. The legacy and contribution of the ISS are numerous and impactful on many levels. This legacy is embodied in the experiments, results, and data that scientists do aboard the ISS, because it provides scientists with a unique, one-of-a-kind laboratory to test the most basic physical and biological processes, like the burning of fuels, solidification of metals, the growth of crystals, and the systems of the body, ranging from the musculoskeletal system to the immune system. Scientists can use low gravity to test theories in physics with a higher percent of precision and accuracy than the physical realms of Earth's gravity would allow. The well-sought characteristic of low gravity on the ISS gives scientists the capabilities to study the changes in states of matter, behavior of fluids, and complex combustion processes. These studies would have a comprehensive application on the industrial level, from the production of glasses, ceramics, and semiconductors to metal alloys and polymers. The study on combustion would have a prosperous effect on the economic and environmental benefits throughout the world, since it's used to produce 85% of Earth's own energy. Low gravity also reaps benefits from within the sphere of biological sciences because orbital research enhances the ability to describe proteins, enzymes, and viruses at the molecular level, in turn mobilizing scientists and researchers alike to develop new drugs and vaccines at a faster and more efficient rate. There will be new information to be gained on account of human physiology in space, as in the way the body's lungs and heart function, the growth of loss in muscles and bones, and how the change in gravity affects the perception and cognition of the human mind. The legacy of the station shows the possible obstacles and limits of our human bodies will face with the travel of humanity throughout the new body of ocean that is space. The hurdles of space within the ISS gives man the chance to solve the dilemma of slow growth of muscles and bones, leading to further research on the human body to grow them faster. There are drugs and therapies being developed to combat the effects of gravity on the human body and possibly even reverse them. As an outcome, it will have major consequences for aging on Earth. The ISS's presence in space gives a direct initiative to get groundbreaking research so humanity can ascend from the platform of the Earth to the greater stages of the universe. Under the leadership of the United States, countries across the globe work on the development of Phase 1 from March 1995 to May 1998, where both NASA and the Russian Space Agency began to test the operational concepts of the ISS. Phase 1 used assets from the US shuttle orbiters and the Russian Mir complex to get a joint space experience. In Phase 2, the United States funded both spacecraft development, while the Russians funded booster and launch services. Within Phase 3 for the ISS, the plan involved increasing the power supply to increase the station's scientific capabilities. This involved 13 US, 8 Russian, 2 European, 1 Japanese, and 2 Japanese-American assembly flights for the addition of new international laboratories. The ISS was built in the post-Cold War world, where the budget constraints and tensions of many nations were satisfied by the unity the United States contributed by bringing together 16 nations to form the largest international scientific cooperative program within the end of the 20th century. The United States acted as the gravitating factor that brought together 16 nations and 6 space agencies in the inspiration of the next generation of future scientists, entrepreneurs, explorers, and engineers.
Should be able to look up and in simple awe and wonder that we have accomplished this engineering feat, that folks can float and do wonderful science and learn more about what we're doing on Earth, as well as going farther. And the third thing I would say is it provides a goal, maybe an inspiration for the children to be able to want to contribute to our future. Together, we are building the future.